Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Whiskey Wednesday Show with your hosts Ken Tizzard and Music for Goats. Brought to you in full color and stereo sound with amplification provided by Trainer. Broadcasting into the world from Storyhouse Studios in Campbellford, Ontario, you'll hear the best of old country, folk, Americana, punk rock, and 80s music delivered into your homes every week for free. And don't forget your regular dose of new and original songs from Music for Goats. Never be alone on a Wednesday night again, 8 p.m. Eastern and 9:30 for those of you in Newfoundland. Join the Whiskey Wednesday regulars on Facebook to be a part of the conversation, or watch on YouTube as well. Pour a drink, a cup of tea, or a nice cold long tooth. Roll up your best smoke and sit back and relax. Don't forget to hit the share button to help spread the word. The Whiskey Wednesday Show, every week. Cheers.
Excellent, thank you. Hello, folks. Evening, folks, typing it and speaking it simultaneously so that you can read it and hear me say it. And if the captions are on YouTube, you'll see that down there as well. The message being, good evening. Welcome to the Whiskey Wednesday Show. My name is Ken Tizzard. We are Music for Goats. We're looking forward to another night of music on a Wednesday evening, broadcasting out of Campbellford, Ontario, drinking some Longtooth lager. We got a great show for tonight. Tonight's show notes got way out of control. It sort of reads like a small book, so I'm gonna probably have to. I'm probably gonna have to ignore most of it. Tonight we've got a special guest on tonight, an old friend of mine from Newfoundland who I went through and I did some research over the last sort of week, and I spoke to him earlier today. I was just like I really didn't realize what you'd been up to. And we chatted for a while about it, how, we both got sucked into careers that just kind of took off and just kept us busy, one thing after another. And looking back, it's really interesting. And he was saying he didn't really think about it until he looked back to write this book, Talking to Canadians. This is a book by Rick Mercer. He is our guest tonight. And I know Rick. I met Rick in kindergarten. I'm sort of first aware of Rick by grade 3, Miss Brown's class. Him and Timmy Green and myself were kind of hanging out. Kindergarten was all about Sandy Parkinson was the only person I knew, and the hunt for a little red car that I never did find. On the first day of kindergarten, my mom brought me in with Sandy Parkinson, because who I knew, because she was my neighbor. And I was totally not wanting to be there, but I found a box for this little red dinky sports car. And I said to my new teacher, I said, I want to play with this. Where is this? She's like, you can do whatever you want here. I'm like, this is what I want. She went, well, that's the box. Where's the car? So I think I spent the entire year of kindergarten looking for that fucking car. I never found it.
Thank God you're not obsessive.
I know. That's all I remember of kindergarten was that stupid red car. Grade 1, I have very little recollection of anything. Grade 2, I remember being really bad at math and the teachers starting to not be as friendly as they always were. And then by 3, that's when I started having friends, and Timmy Green and Rick Mercer and people like that were all part of the gang. Anyways, Rick's been an old friend forever, and we've lost touch over the years, and we've regained touch, and it's been awesome. He's on the show tonight, and I'm fucking pickled about it. I just think it's wonderful. What an amazing thing for this little Wednesday show, taking care of filling people's needs, ours musically, and keeping people company. And now we've got some guests on, and it's turning into a little thing. It's kind of nice. Anyways, we're going to get to that. Lots to talk about, but we're going to start with a song that the whole night of music is loosely dedicated to Rick, some of it directly dedicated to Rick. And with that in mind, we ended off pulling out a bunch of Ron stuff from storage. So we're going to do a bunch of Ron Hines stuff for you tonight. We're going to start with this song, which resonates with many a Newfoundlander. The whole passage of leaving home to go find work and employment and find a career. This is a song called No Change in Me. It goes like this. You can shoot off a cannon down the middle of Bond and attract no attention in downtown St. John's. this getting nowhere is getting to me. Wonder where can you go to be all you can be? Well, no regular Joe wants to haul up and go, just to wind up homesick with no one you know, just the smoke and a beer and the sports on TV, feeling sorry you left with no choice but to leave. There's no change in the weather, no change in me. I don't want to leave, but you can't live for free. And you can't eat the air, you can't drink the sea. No change in the weather, no change in me. You can shoot off a cannon from the top of Long's Hill, and a Gulliver's taxi might be all you would kill. We were promised the sun and the moon and the stars. We got weathered old clapboard and salt-rusted cars. So let me join in the leaving with all of the rest, to Montreal, Calgary, and Vancouver West. Lay down on a sidewalk and kick off and die, watching people not looking as they hurry by. There's no change in the weather, no change in me. I don't want to leave, but you can't live for free. And you can't eat the air, you can't drink the sea. No change in the weather, no change in me. No change in me. I don't want to leave, but you can't live for free. Down here you can't live for free, and you can't eat the air, you can't drink the sea. No change in the weather, no change in me. Hey, little Ron Hines to start off the night. How can you go wrong? Oh, nice to see some folks out. Do a little sort of look through the board here, see who we got. We got Lorna, we got Dennis Miller, Pills. Good to see you, brother. Joe Murray, Jordan Tupper, nice to see you. Jeannie's great. Richard, you won one of those masks last week. I know you know that. It's on the way, but he was a winner. Karen Kleinlock, nice to see you. Mac McPhee, excellent. Kim, good to see you. Rick Burton. Mike Steenberg, everybody's here. This is great. Howard Weiss tuning in from New Jersey. Good to see you, brother. I'm glad that's one of your favorite songs. It's one of my favorites, too. Sarah Calhoun in the house, listening from Montana. Listening from Montana. I miss that voice. Oh, Sarah, I miss you, too. We got to manage to get together sometime. It's been way too long. Sarah's a friend of mine I met down in the States when I was doing AMA, I believe. through a mutual friend of ours. Anyway, Sarah runs a thing called Red Ants Pants, and it's a festival, it's a clothing line. She is a super, super crazy businesswoman, and she's absolutely lovely and darling, and she's a wonderful, wonderful lady. I look forward to seeing you again there sometime soon. Excellent. We have Greg from the Schwa. Good. We got a great crowd here. We're going to keep moving here. We're going to do another Ron song. This one here again reflects, this doesn't reflect all Newfoundlanders, but the first time I saw Ron outside of Newfoundland was here in Campbellford, and I saw him at the restaurant. I didn't even know he was in town. I saw him over at Capers having lunch or having dinner before the show, and I was there, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing here? He's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, I live here. He's like, shit. So we had a chat, and all was great. And he said, well, you got to come down to the show. And I said, sure, what time do you start? And I think it was an 8 o'clock show. So at like 5 to 8, I went down, I stopped, and I knocked on the dressing room door out back, the little back door, and I was having a toke before I went in. Ron poked his head out, and I said, you all ready? He said, yeah. I said, you need a toke or what? He said, no, I don't do that before I play anyone. I don't do drugs. Blah, blah, blah. And he sort of closed the door and went back in. I went, okay, and I turned around, and I had a few more inhales, and all of a sudden the door opened up, and Ron's arm came out like this. And I laid the joint in his arm, and the door closed, and it went back inside, and it came out much smaller. And that night, I was sitting in the crowd, and Ron decided to pick me out, and he said, this is for one of your new locals here in Campbellford, displaced Newfoundlander, Ken Tizzard. And he talked about me being a songwriter and all that. And then he dedicated this song to me, which I was totally tickled pink by, because to get a dedication from Ron Hines is a huge thing, and that really sweetened me up. Even if it is a song about kind of a failed drug-addicted musician who doesn't know when to stop, you know. I don't think that was his intention with the
it probably was
with the dedication, but
it fits though. all present.
All present. Now we just played this one. We just rehearsed this one last night and had a total argument about the arrangement, to which I have to just chuck up to the wonderful mind of Ron Hines, making simple things way too confusing. So hang on for the end there, boys, and just keep an eye on things. He's got a crimson red tattoo, keeps it hidden just above his t-shirt sleeve. It's a broken heart, and the inscription reads, no love songs if you please. He don't really mean that. It's his only cheeky tongue. He stands up and sings for them every night. He's the man of 1,000 songs. He knows the streets like he knows his last name. He knows the city from the wrong side out. He knows that time is cruel, and any man's a fool who hides the truth behind his mouth. He knows the Duke of Earl, he knows my girl, in the house of the rising sun. And the opening line on his marquee sign is the man of 1,000 songs. He knows an old hotel where the desk clerk will sell you your soul back reasonably cheap. Or this guy you can call when you're crawling the wall and the whole town's asleep. He don't promise what he don't deliver. He keeps it all in the easy keys. He don't dream beyond his expectations, but he's got the stance down to a T. He's got a friend in the backstage alley, got just the thing to make the night move along. He's taking all requests like you might have guessed. He's the man of 1,000 songs. He knows an old hotel where the desk clerk will sell you your soul back reasonably cheap. Or this guy you can call when you're crawling the wall and the whole town's asleep. He don't promise what he don't deliver. He keeps it all in the easy keys. He don't dream beyond his expectations, but he's got the stance down to a T. He's got a friend in the backstage alley, got just the thing to make the night move along. He's taking all the requests like you might have guessed. He's the man of 1,000 songs. Oh, oh, he's the man of 1,000 songs. Oh, there you go. More Ron for you. It's funny, I was talking to Ron one night when we were on the road. I think it was me and him and Boomer, and I was talking about doing somebody doing an album of covers of Ron, and he said, yeah, they could just call it More Ron. And I went, what? More Ron? David Jones says, I could be wrong, singing and talking about home. Yeah, Kenny's accent comes through. Yeah, you know, something, it's weird, it does. My accent, if there's a Newfoundlander talking, I'm lost accent-wise. And if I start, like, I'm thinking a lot about Rick. I was talking to him earlier just before we started, and just thinking about talking to him is bringing the accent back. It's weird how that happens. Janet Ann Hobbs, lovely to see you. Hey, Ken and Neil, good to see you. We want Rick. Yes, he's coming, don't worry. Anyways, that's all cool. Haven't been on the show for a while. Deborah Stevenson, lovely to see you. Oh yeah, you haven't been in a while. Oh, thanks. Deb, yeah, we're a trio tonight. Our drummer Steve is, he's got cancer and he's battling it, has been since December. So he's been in periodically between treatments when he can, when he's good enough to be here. He's resting this week. He'll be back next week though. So next week we'll have the full band, and all of our best for Steve as always. Alison Aylward, it's lovely to see you. Corey Rigo, of course, and Lorna's, Alison Aylward is on the gin. Good for you. I'm on the long tooth again. Lager tonight. What are you drinking tonight, Mr. Ray? You're drinking Oktoberfest, right?
Oktoberfest.
Yeah, how's that?
It's excellent. My favorite of the few that he has supplied us with.
Yeah. Well, how is it?
I look forward to trying some more.
How is it to drink Oktoberfest in May? No, March, June, April.
Makes no difference, man.
That makes no difference. Okay. Okay, we're going to play one more song, and then Rick should be here.
And it is April, by the way.
It is April. Okay, thank you for clearing that one up. Oh, it looks like Rick is here. We're going to play you one more song, Rick, before you get started. My God, you look some good there sitting in that corner with your suit jacket on. So Rick Mercer, when I was growing up, like I said, me and Rick were in school together. We weren't best buddies. We weren't buddies, but I mean, you spend all those years together. You just get to know each other. I mean, I remember birthday parties, and I remember being out to his place, and you know, Timmy Green as well, and also other people lived out in Middle Cove. So, but I remember in high school. High school is when the group. I think that's when we all started getting personalities and started gluing together as community. And Rick was a big part of my social circle then. I was more into the hardcore stuff, but Rick's older brother, I'm going to say Gilbert. Geez, Rick, correct me if I'm wrong about that in a minute. I think it's Gilbert. He was a couple years older, and he had like a really cool record collection that I remember. Like he had like the Ramones and the Replacements and the Clash. It wasn't the hardcore punk, but it was the sort of earlier and less aggressive punk. And Rick always sort of had either a Ramones pin or a Clash pin or something like that. So I considered him part of the punk rock crowd, as we all were. And that's sort of when I decided we should play this song for Rick tonight. This is a song that I recorded with Dean Locke and some other people. And we'll play a little version of it tonight for Rick, and then we're going to bring him on here for the show. Well, I'm running, police on my back. I've been hiding, police on my back. There was a shooting, police on my back. And the victim, he ain't coming back. I've been running Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. I've been running Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Saturday and Sunday. What have I done? What have I done? Well, I'm running down a one-way track. They will catch me if I did look back. Won't you give me all the speed I lack? 'Cause I'm running, police on my back. I've been running Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. I've been running Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. What have I done? 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 There you go. Little whammy ending there. Okay, I am going to, I'll get back to all of you online there in just a minute. It is time for our special guest. I'm just going to remove my guitar. Put this over here. Slowly turn my field of vision around so that I can still be on the microphone and see my buddy Rick. And in order to hear him, I need to put this earpiece in. Oh my God, you look so excited, Rick.
I
Can't
am
even hear you yet, but
very
you look
excited.
so excited.
Can you hear me?
You're very excited? I'm reading lips now.
Oh yeah, very excited.
Okay, there we go. Now, what do I got for sound here? There we go. Oh my goodness, I'm seeing me, and I'm hearing you.
And I'm seeing you,
Yeah?
but there's a slight delay, which is a bit disconcerting because it makes me think like I'm having a stroke. So I'm just going to stop looking at me altogether and just look into the green dot. How about that?
That's the way to do it. And
That's the way
I've
to
got
do
a
it.
little delay too, which I find concerning, but disconcerting is the word. So, Rick,
Yeah.
what are you at?
Oh my God. I'm at a lot. I'm finally about to go out on the road and go on tour, which I was supposed to do. I mean, it's a bit of a late start. I'm about 2.5 hours late, 2.5 years late. That's really exciting and terrifying and weird and everything else, but it's great. Things are getting back to normal. So I actually have a tour. I actually have something to do. And that's good. I wrote a book during the pandemic. You and I reconnected during the pandemic because when I was writing the book, I called a lot of people that I was hanging out with in high school and in those early years of doing comedy and music. And you and I were both part of a scene. So we really reconnected during that time. And I reconnected with a bunch of people. It's so that's what I'm at. What are you at?
Well, I mean, you know what I'm at, and everybody knows what I'm at. So, I mean, I don't think that's as boring or as exciting. It would be more boring. But
Right.
no, really, what I'm at is taking care of Allison and
Right.
trying to find a way to move forward into the future with a business that I don't understand anymore. You know, COVID has changed so much. The record industry has changed so much. Making music has changed so much. You know, I've actually sort of resigned myself to, like, the next year. This Whiskey Wednesday show is what I'm doing. So I'm really trying to make it as exciting for me and everybody else as possible because, you know, I'm not
It's
really
great.
able to go out of the
You know,
house
it's
as
great.
some
I
people
spent
are.
all last summer, every Wednesday, I would be out in the backyard and I would put the laptop on in the backyard and I would watch. It's great. It's, but you're right. It's, we're not there yet. Things are opening up. We're not there yet. I was thinking about the fact that also when people are starting out in the business, it is a requirement to be jammed into very tiny, small rooms with low ceilings and way too many people above fire code.
Yes.
And that is basically, that goes for comedy, that goes for music, that goes for any arts or entertainment, endeavor. And that's just verboten now. So it's a whole brave new wave.
It certainly is. The great thing about it is the way that technology has allowed us to adapt.
Yeah.
We've caught on to the tipping point of technology, and we're actually using it effectively now, which is good. Back in the early heyday of the internet, it was all sort of fart jokes and porn. It's grown into a viable place where you can work, so to speak, and not just the internet, but even things like we're doing right now. You're in your office at home, and I'm here at the studio,
Yeah.
and we're both
But you're
talking, and it's
way
going into the
ahead
air
of me.
anymore.
Who's doing your switching?
That's Barry.
He's really good.
He is really good,
Yeah.
isn't he?
It's really good. The switching is great. It's a great show. It should be on the network.
Oh.
I say the network. I'm old fashioned. Should be on the network.
It is on the network.
Yeah, but the switching is great. Your lighting is great. It's all great. The sound is great. It's a great show.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I coming from somebody, reading your book.
Who knows nothing about sound?
Who knows nothing about sound? No, but reading your book again really reminded me how you guys, especially with 22 Minutes, you took it from scratch. You were working out of a trailer. Your set was a desk. You had a very little budget. I've always enjoyed things that come out of that. Most of the most gratifying things in my world have come out of you said it in the book, there was no money, but I was on a show. I had something. And that's the way I've lived my life. And it's fantastic to see that grow. And you've done it so many times.
Yeah, and I realized that my failures have always been well funded and my successes have always been drastically underfunded. And I don't know if that's because you just have to step up to the plate and make up for the fact that there's no money. But that's certainly a pattern. Now it could be a coincidence, but it's certainly a pattern. But yeah, the early days of 22 Minutes, there was absolutely no money. The reason why the rant was developed and why they went for the rant, which is where I run around, and talk for 90 seconds into a camera about whatever's going on that week. The reason why they went for it wasn't because they had any great, belief in me as a commentator. It was because it was cheap. It was the cheapest 90 seconds in television.
Yeah,
national
really was.
television, certainly. So, anytime that you had to work within a budget, I somehow thrived in that environment. Although it's not like I'm suggesting, people starve artists to get good work out of them or anything.
Of course.
But that was it. 22 Minutes certainly didn't have that. I just wanted to show this. You mentioned the book, and I will say, because you're such a hirsute individual, that there's a very, I don't know if you can see it, but it's I'll have to bring up the weird, just 1 second there. So there's the young Ken Tizzard right there.
God. Close.
No,
yeah.
there he is.
Oh yeah. So that's Clark.
God almighty. What's
yes.
going on here? There you are.
Yeah. There. Not quite.
Everything is backwards here.
Everything is backwards. I'm the guy on the
Ken
bottom
with the
row
strap
in
on his head,
the bandana
down
and the Crass
below.
T-shirt.
Yeah.
And there you are up top with the afro.
I had an afro.
Yeah.
You were a very clean-cut punk rocker.
Sorry, I was a very what?
Clean
the
cut
earpiece
punk
fell out
rocker.
of this high-budget operation.
Yeah, you were a clean-cut punk rocker, and
I
you
was.
always had nice hair.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think my mom would agree with that.
No, but by our standards, you were pretty
Readjust this
clean cut.
fucking thing here now, Rick. Sorry.
That's
Jesus
all right.
Christ. There we go. I was a clean-cut punk rocker. I kind of was.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I was dirtier than most.
And you dabbled in the theater,
I did.
which is why we knew each other, of course. Or, well, we knew each other forever, but you certainly dabbled in the theater as an actor and a musician.
Failed as an actor completely. Yeah.
No, you didn't.
Oh, come on. There's no reason to say that. I think it was a dreadful failure. Well, maybe we did the psychiatric workout together, right?
Yeah.
And that was good.
It was a show. It was called the 20-Minute Psychiatric Workout.
Yeah.
It changed my life because it was when I decided that I wanted to be a writer and an actor. And Andrew Younghusband was in the show. Ashley Billard was in the show. A number of people in the show and Christine Taylor. Was Christine in the show?
No, she was in the next year.
No, she was in the next year. But so a number of people who went on to do great things in comedy and in the arts and stuff. were involved in that show. And then there was a whole music side of it, and it was your band,
Yes.
Waffet. And all of those people went on to do incredible things as well. It was a
I know.
crazy time, really crazy.
So I got a question, and
Yeah.
in my mind, I know where the answer lies, but was it all Lois's doing?
Well, Lois Brown was the theater teacher who we were just really lucky to have at the time, because Lois was, I think she's an incredible educator, but she only actually taught high school for about 2 or 3 years,
Yep.
three maybe. And we happened to be there when she was there. And she decided that a theater program should be about kids or young people creating their own shows. Whereas most theater programs, and there's nothing wrong with this, they do musicals.
Yep.
And I would suggest, if our high school was the kind of school that was just doing Grease, even though you were a musician, you probably wouldn't be involved. And I certainly wouldn't have been involved because I can't sing. And so all of the people that ended up involved in Lois's creations, or the collective creations that she, supported, I don't think would have been involved in something like that. And there were a lot of and she actually went out and kind of got people who were at risk, the term they use now,
yes.
and got
Us.
them involved in the shows. And a lot of us, I don't think I was at risk, but lots of people were. And it certainly had a lot to do with her, for sure. And I'd say she actually saved a bunch of lives and also put a bunch of people onto the career path in the arts. Yeah. Oh, I give her all the credit in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, she's. I see her from time to time. I'm not in regular communication with her, so I haven't had a coffee with her in years. Do you still know her these days?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I do. It's like anything, you go through periods where you don't. Of course, after high school, when I started doing one-man shows, Lois actually toured with me as my stage manager at one point, which is pretty funny. But we've remained friends. And, she's an incredible artist in her own right. And probably, like I say, soon after we were out of high school, she decided not to become a teacher anymore. And she just continued her work as a performance artist and a poet and a director and a dramaturge and all these wonderful things. But I often think that it was certainly education's loss, that's for sure, because she was an incredible teacher, no doubt about it.
She was an amazing guide, and I know that for me, she brought me where I needed to be. She exposed me to people that she knew would help me to find myself, so to speak. And those relationships are relationships that I still treasure, to this day.
Yeah, it was odd. It was a conduit to these downtown St. John's arts community.
It certainly was.
But you had someone on the faculty that was that conduit. It was pretty incredible.
Well, it was Lois who invited me to Tommy Sexton's 30th birthday party, which me and Andrew Younghusband went to.
Right.
I mean,
and we'll leave that story there.
But that's how I met a lot of that crowd. That was the first time I ever met Mike Wade that night.
There you go.
That's a story for another time, which I've told several times.
Yeah.
Mike Wade is a regular feature in my Newfoundland talk about, because I don't know how close
we
you
love Mike Wade. My partner and I, Gerald and I, Mike would come to our house once a week for dinner, and he was always on his best behavior, except for once. But he was always on his best behavior, and we always looked forward to it. We always had dinner early, and it was great. Mike was a great actor in St. John's,
really
and a great musician, and a great poet, and a lot of things. And he was such a sweetheart when you got him on at the right time of day, for sure.
Well, I shared a house with him, so that's how
You did not.
Well, yeah, I remember 1 Hayward Avenue. Kathy Jones used to live upstairs.
You
at one
were
point.
up there at 1 Hayward?
Me and Paula had the bottom ground, and Mike had the upstairs.
I knew that. Yeah. Well, Mike,
and then Kathy moved
Mike died up there, right? I mean, that was Mike's last residence.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in there for a long time.
So you and Paula were downstairs, right? Of course.
Yes. And I played with Mike in his band at the time.
Right. Have you talked to your fans at home about when you did the show with the guy who used to strip and roll around on glass?
Oh, the Amazing Glenn. Yes. I have talked about
The Amazing Glenn? Okay. That's good.
I've found
That's
out
good.
apparently he's selling antiques somewhere just out around the bay. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he always used to, after he used to strip down to his underwear and roll around on the glass,
Yeah.
and you guys would be playing Stand By Me,
That's
and
right.
you, of course, playing bass,
Mm-hmm.
Stand By Me. It's one of the greatest bass riffs, and it would just go on and on. I mean, how
Mm-hmm.
long would you play the bass for Stand By Me? I
Oh, it
mean, it
was
would
12
be
minutes. Yeah. Yeah.
12 minutes.
Yeah.
And then he would roll around on the glass, and then he would pull up a stool, and he would be bleeding.
Yes.
And then he would tell you that if you wanted furniture refurnished, look him up next time you were in Foxtrap.
That's right.
I
That's
remember
Foxtrot.
thinking, this is like an acid trip. This is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah,
But you
that was-
toured with him, didn't you?
I did. At one point, I did an entire summer with him. And at one point, he talked to me about being his mentor. He was going to teach me how to do what he did. And shortly after that was when I stopped working with him. Yeah. It just got
Well,
to
because
be...
he used to cut himself. That was the thing. That was the disconcerting part.
Yes.
It was like he's rolling around in the glass. You'd be playing Stand By Me. And then you'd go, oh, my God, how is he not cutting himself? But
And then you
when
realize he
stand
was.
up, you'd realize, oh, no, he's cutting himself quite badly. So as a showbiz act, that was a bit of an issue.
It had a limited... The fire always bugged me, too, when he'd take the handfuls of broken glass and he'd pour lighter fluid on them, and then he'd pour them
Right.
over his face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
and it was
show
weird being
business.
on the road with him, too, though.
I bet.
Yeah. I keep those stories to myself just because it was weird as hell.
You were a kid, too.
I was 16, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were
You were
all just kids.
16 on the road with the amazing Glenn. That's too funny. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a weird time and place, man. But Newfoundland was like that. I mean, everything I remember about Newfoundland is so different than what I imagine the world is like now. I mean, getting up and going to school was an adventure, going through the woods, crossing the sewer grates, running from the people from Chalker Place so you didn't get beaten up. This was all before you got to school in the day. And then you had to navigate school, which was all baymen and townies and fighting and sports and jocks and punks. And it was an adventure. And then it continued and spilled over downtown. I don't know, are kids going through that these days?
Oh, I have no idea. And I don't know if Newfoundland, I mean, certainly Newfoundland is unique, but I'm sure that every single town in Canada had its equivalency of that. And God knows people had to dodge bullies and make their way to school under all sorts of different circumstances. But yeah, I in hindsight, I consider myself incredibly lucky that I got to go to school when I did, where I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what kids are up to these days, but
I don't know either.
yeah, but I certainly look back with fond memories, even though at the time I didn't. I mean, I felt like I was in hell half the time, of course, the way young people are. But, overall, and when you write a book, and when you do write your book, you start looking back at these times in a different way, because I'm not a very reflective guy. I don't sit around and think about those things very often, but you're forced to if you're going to write a book and you're going to write about your childhood or your high school years or your formative career years. And you have to kind of make a call. Like, was it a good situation? Was it a bad situation? And overall, I was incredibly lucky. It was all very good. Even when you bring up someone like Mike Wade, who was a difficult fellow, no doubt about it. But to me, that was just a great relationship that I had, and it was positive. And for the most part, I was really lucky. I just crossed paths with people that really helped me in lots of ways creatively, and yeah, it was a good journey.
It was a great
It's not
time.
over.
I mean, I got even the bullies, I mean, it was part of the adventure. It was part of the excitement. I loved growing up in Newfoundland, and I love being able to say that I grew up in Newfoundland because it's a badge of honor for me, I just, there's something about it that was wonderful. And I don't know if it's just reflecting youth, if everybody feels that, if you grew up in Oshawa, if you feel the same way, I don't know.
I think so. I think for the most part, people do. I'm always surprised when I meet people who, I guess I'm not surprised, but I feel terrible for people who you meet and they talk about somewhere where they grew up and they've just never gone back and they don't want to go back and they have no interest. And I understand that's a real thing, but I know very, very few people. I'm trying to think of who I know from Newfoundland who feel that way. So we were pretty lucky. There's no doubt about it. It was a good time to be in St. John's too.
It certainly was. We had a great game.
Yeah.
So these days, you're completely on your own. You're in Toronto.
Yeah.
You've been through a massive list of things that you've wanted to do and do. And now you're getting ready to go out on tour. Is this stand-up?
Yeah. I did a Just for Laughs comedy tour, and it was coincided with the launch of the Mercer Report. So that we're talking 17, 18 years ago. And I went all the way across the country with 5 great stand-ups from the United States, from the UK, some from Canada. And I loved it as an experience. But I was in awe of the stand-ups. Big rooms, 1,000-seat rooms. I was in awe of the stand-ups. I was the host, and I was used to hosting things, but I wasn't doing stand-up. I was doing a little bit. I was dipping my toe in. And I thought I would love to do this again sometime, but I would love to do it as a stand-up. And then the TV show came along, and the next 16 years, I never thought about it. And then once the TV show was over, I decided I was going to do it. And I contacted my buddy, Greg Eckler, who I worked on the Mercer Report with. And he's a great stand-up. And he was like, if you're going to do this, we got to go into the clubs. And it was like he was the coach in Rocky. Like, we got to go back to the clubs. And he was bringing me to rooms that had 14 people in them, and 6 of them are drunk and not paying attention, and just getting up on stage and working up stand-up. And then I went out on the road and I had real stand-up. I did 20-minute sets every night, twice a night. And now I'm going out again. And I'm really looking forward to it. It's a big learning curve. It's something that I did after 50, which is weird because a lot of people start in stand-up and then they look for the off-ramp to get to television or whatever. Whereas I was never in stand-up. I did television, and now I've discovered a different off-ramp, and I'm kind of reverting and doing stand-up. But I'm really looking forward to it. There's no doubt about it.
That's cool. And how long is the run?
I'm out on the road for like a month, easily. Yeah. Like I start April. I've got a clipboard here. I start April 19th. I end May 23rd. So it's it's a substantial run, and it's from St. John's to Victoria. So
wow,
we're covering all the bases. Yeah,
that's good. And you're going to stay in your dressing room and keep washing your hands?
I don't know. I've dodged COVID.
Yeah. So
far, I guess I'll be careful as much as I can be careful, I guess. Well, I got to be careful, I guess.
Well, it's hard to be.
Honestly, I don't know. I've done a lot of different things, but I haven't done a show in a very long time, so I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're in a big room and you're with not that many people, I guess it'll be okay. I guess we'll be a little bubble out there on the road.
That's how it was when the Watchmen played last weekend.
Yeah, some horrible showbiz bubble.
Doesn't sound horrible. It sounds like a blast.
I think it'll be good. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, I think that's great. And this book that I've got here, Rip Mercer, Talking to Canadians.
And I'm sending you a signed copy tomorrow.
That's fantastic, because Allison's setting up a
contest. The sticky note is on my kitchen table.
Good Lord, you got sticky notes. You're so much more organized than me.
Oh, yeah. Send book to Ken.
Well, that's great. Thank you. This book ends prematurely. Is there a part 2 that's going to get into the other stuff?
Well, I'm no fool, Ken. I ended the book. Actually, I didn't know anything about writing a book. I actually Googled how to write a memoir. And my editor said, don't write it chronologically. But I figured, well, I can't wrap my head around not writing it chronologically. So I started chronologically.
Of course.
And then he just told me to stop. And when I stopped was when I moved to Toronto to start the Mercer Report. So yeah, I think there'll be a second book, and it'll be about those years because it's 16 years, and that will very much be like a travelogue. I mean, I felt the Mercer Report was like a love letter to Canadian towns and what people are doing in Canadian towns and Canadian, artists and lots of different things. But it was a very different experience than anything I had in the first part of my life. So, yeah, that'll be the second book. Will be the Mercer Report years.
I'm really excited to read that. It took me a long time to read this because I read the same sentence like 8 times and then I go to the next
That's
sentence.
okay. I get it. I hear you.
But I did get through it. And I mean, I don't know much about politics in the news. I never have. But this, and I mean, everything in your career has always been so funny, regardless whether you're up to date on stuff or not. And I found that translated in the book. I was laughing. I was laughing in bed.
Good.
Like, it's a hard. That's got to be a hard thing to do.
Well, I don't know if it's a hard thing to do, but it was the one thing that I said to my editor, and he's this guy, Tim Roster. And the thing I loved about Tim, or the thing I like about Tim, is that he grew up in England. He's a Brit. He's lived here for 12 or 14 or 15 years or something. But because he had this whole other life in England, he wasn't aware of, well, he doesn't know much about growing up in Newfoundland or what was happening in politics in Canada in the 80s or 90s. And so he was a great sounding board because I didn't want anything that wasn't funny. End of the day, that was it. Like, I wasn't writing an important book. I just wanted a book that was funny. I had a story to tell, but I wanted it to be funny. And so he was a great sounding board that he could say, no, this is funny, even for a guy who wasn't around when Stockwell Day ran for the leadership of this party. This is still funny, even though I'm from England. So that was really important. And I've always enjoyed mining politics for humor. It was always my sport. Like, I didn't follow baseball the way some kids did or hockey. Like, I was just always interested in politics. And so the fact that I could merge my only 2 interests, which was comedy and politics, together was a great gift. No doubt about it.
Well, you've made an entire lifetime out of it. It's so fantastic. I did put a thing out today saying, anybody got any questions for Rick? And 2 questions came up repeatedly. The first one was, when are you running for prime minister?
Right.
And I'm sure you get asked that question a lot. I don't know if you have a stock answer or not, or if it's something you're even talking about.
Well, I think if you've always been obsessed with politics, like it's your sport, you always have this fantasy. And I think the same thing exists if you're a sports writer. Like, say you're writing about sports all the time, and then you think someday the phone is going to ring and they're going to say, you got to come in and be the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs or the Blue Jays or something and turn this thing around. And you go, damn it, I will. I'll go in there and do it. So I always, in the back of my mind, because I was interested in politics, I always thought, oh, there could be a time when I might want to go into that world. But now, honestly, I always thought that the older I got, the more appealing it would be. But now, at this point in my life, it's less appealing than at any other time in my life. It's not a world that I have any interest in spending any more time in. And I spent a lot of time around it, and covering it and talking to people in it. And I know a lot of people in it. And I found it endlessly fascinating for a big part of my life, but now not so much.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I just don't
logical
really
answer.
want to go there. Yeah. Never say never. I'm all for people who are in their 70s. When I was a very young man, I would say, we need more young people. Now, as I'm getting older, I'm like, we need more 70-year-olds.
We just need more people our age, whatever that age is.
Maybe that's it, yeah.
Could be. The other thing people were wondering about is, do you miss talking to Americans? Like, how long has it been since?
You cut up.
How long has it been since you've done like talking to Americans? And do you miss it?
It's been a long time. I never thought about it for the longest time until when I was writing the book, someone offered to transcribe the special for me, and I said sure. And I didn't think it would really be that useful, but I thought okay. And then I read it, and I really found it very, very funny. And I hadn't thought about it in a long, long time. I don't think I know I'll never do it again. And I miss it in the sense that it was the best job, one of the best jobs I ever had. I mean, I was on the road with 2 guys that I loved, and we enjoyed eating well, and we could travel literally every week to any city in the United States, anywhere we wanted to go. All we needed was American people. Of course, they were everywhere. So we literally started going to cities based on restaurant reviews. We were like, oh, read about this place. This is amazing. Let's go there. All right, we'll go there and talk to Americans. It was a great gig. And the producers had no idea what was really going on. We always told them it took a good 12 hours to get a piece, and it actually took 2.5. So we would have our afternoons off, go to Chicago, go to Wrigley Field, see a ball game, go have a meal, come back and go, we're exhausted. And we really banged off a piece in 2.5 hours. So it was a great, great gig.
Yeah.
And I got to see all of the United States, and I got to geek out and visit Capitol buildings and all that stuff. But I don't think you could do it now. I think it was a very different time. I think people were, they weren't as suspicious of people with cameras and microphones. I mean, I would stand there as a young man in a suit and slicked hair, and, my cameraman had a big camera, and then my producer would be standing next to him, and he looked like at Essential Casting, what a producer would look like. And no one ever thought for a minute that we were anything other than a news show.
Right.
And I think now people are very suspicious, and I just don't think it would happen. And plus, I don't have any interest in being in the States very much at all, let alone working down there exclusively like that.
I'm getting that from people more and more. It's this weird time. Yeah. I don't really have much interest in leaving the house,
Yeah, that's it. I love New York City, and I was really lucky to spend a lot of time just visiting New York City and seeing theater, which is my favorite thing in the world. And I don't want to criticize the people of New York City, but yeah, there's no doubt about it. There's a whole kind of thing that's going on now where a lot of people are probably not as eager to be in the States as they used to be. I don't know.
I hear that from people all the time. I've always heard that, the general disdain for Americans or America. Now, I've been to the States in the last 15 years several times. The people I'm meeting are just, they're not that. I'm going, maybe it's the communities I hang out with. There's just great people.
The one thing that I do dislike about talking to Americans, and it was such a great thing for me personally, and it was so helpful to my career, and I do believe it was funny, but anytime they read more into it than is actually there, and they see it as an anti-American thing, which it wasn't. It was a play on that original joke from the 50s when people would show up at the border looking for the ski hill in August. It was a different time, and it was good fun, really. It was YouTube, so you go, oh, these people will never see this. And I mean, it's tough. There's a lot of people in America. What is it, 350 million people? I got to think that, and the vast majority of them, I would love to sit down and have a beer with them.
Exactly.
I believe that's true.
Yeah, I'm not sure why whatever. We don't need to get into talking about that. I don't even know anything about politics, let alone to start a conversation about that crap. Anyways, so you're going on tour. I just want to look at my notes here. There was a few things I wanted to talk about. I think I got everything. You're going on tour.
Well, we covered the Amazing Glenn.
We covered the Amazing Glenn. We covered Lois Brown, and we mentioned Mike Wade. That seems like a full conversation, really.
I know, absolutely.
Is there anything you need to? I'm just going to see here online if any of the people have direct questions for you as I scan through there, Rick. At this, Charmaine Penny says, loved the book.
Thank you, Charmaine.
We've got some people asking if you'd come to West Bend for a comedy show. I already talked to them about that, but I think the tour is booked.
We're probably good. I always love when I watch Whiskey Wednesdays and I see in the comments people that we went to high school with. I got to say, I get a real kick out of that. Of course,
that is
not
amazing for
we
me.
Went to high school with, but it's always fun.
Yeah. The Wednesday thing has become a real way for me to stay in touch with people back home. And I think it's become a bit of a vehicle for occasion celebrating, too. Sometimes the unfortunate ones, when the Johnny Fishers and the Dean Locks pass off and stuff.
Yeah.
Anniversaries and stuff, too. I'm learning about this thing, I don't know if you watch The Marvelous Miss Maisel.
I have seen some of it, yes.
Okay, well, I watched the finale of what is existing last night, and there was a
Okay.
It was a scene where they talk about. I'm not going to get to it because I'm going to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it. I'm going to spoil
That's
it.
okay.
But, oh my. Well, Rick, it's been lovely talking to you, man. I can't believe you came on the show. This is like, I got this little thing
What else
happening
am
in
I
my
doing?
bedroom.
What else am I doing? I'm just sitting here in my office in my jacket with my ring light on, wishing that someone from high school would call.
I know.
So thank you for having me.
Are you wearing pants?
I am, but they're not very nice.
Okay.
They may include an elastic.
They'd include an elastic. Some of my favorite people
But
wear
listen,
pants with elastics.
you're a very dapper band. You're wearing a tie.
Yes.
Two of you in the band are wearing ties. You're
Two
a
of us
very
are.
dapper band. And it's so great, even though I don't know Steve, it's so great to see him behind the drums and doing well.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the band, and so I'm thrilled to be on the show.
Well, it's awesome, man. It's great to have you. We learned a song for you when you first watched the Whiskey Wednesday show. You said to me, "Do you know David Whiffen from Ottawa?" And
Yes.
I did some research, but last week when we were talking, you mentioned a song called "Coast to Coast Fever."
Yeah.
So
David Whiffen, I was spending time in the Gatineau outside of Ottawa
Right.
with friends of my partners, and they're all Ottawa Valley guys, and they were big into Ron Hines, and I was playing Ron Hines, and they liked Ron Hines too, and then they suggested that David Whiffen was their Ron Hines, and I can remember thinking, well, we'll see about that, and we put the record on. It was vinyl. It was David Whiffen, Coast to Coast Fever. And in many ways, I believe he is, because, as you know, everyone from Newfoundland and Labrador and your fans certainly know how much we admire Ron, and we believe that he should be there with the Jonies and the Neils, and he belongs there. But David Whiffen is one of those characters, and I don't want to speak for anyone in Ontario or who were fans of his. I think he had a lot of fans, but certainly in my generation, I'd never heard tell of him. And the Coast to Coast Fever album is pretty close to perfect as far as the singer-songwriter goes. It's a pretty amazing album. And so that's fantastic. I'm looking forward to this.
well, Rick, we're going to let you go so you can watch the rest of the show and get out of your stiff jacket. I really appreciate you coming on board and getting all dressed
I wear
up.
this until bed.
You wear this?
And then at 8 a.m. it goes back on.
Well, you're looking great, my friend. I'm really, really happy to have you on the show, and I'm going to get out to see you when you're on tour this summer.
Excellent.
Make sure that happens as well. And
All right.
we'll be talking to you
Thanks for
probably
having
later
me.
tonight, anyways.
And I'm gonna log. Yeah, we'll talk later.
Exactly.
I'm gonna log in now and watch you do Coast to Coast Fever. I'm very excited.
Excellent. Okay, we'll talk to you
Thanks,
soon,
buddy.
brother.
All righty.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Well, that was fun, and I see there in the last 30 seconds or so, Barry's giving me that look of, oh no, we're having a switcher issue.
Yeah.
How bad is it, Barry?
Started again.
We're doing good. That's excellent. So, Mr. Grant and Neil, thank you for sitting through that so quietly and patiently. We have yet to, here at the studio, we have yet to get it so that we can monitor the interviews in real time. So everybody in the room has to sit quietly while all I do is hear me ask a question and then like minutes of silence. But we will go downstairs momentarily, and we will fix that by watching the interview while we have a beer after the show. Whew, that was exhilarating, man. Exhilarating. You know, I've done hundreds, if not thousands, of interviews over my years as a musician, and I have to say that the best times are just when I am chatting with somebody, and it's great. Sort of these Wednesday night what are you ats are a really great opportunity for me to just bring friends on and have a chat. And it all started with Brian Finley. Remember that phone call that I made to him there a few months back? Well,
It helps when you get a professional actor or a screen person who
Yes.
who fills in all of the dead air.
Yes, well, exactly.
Almost instinctively. I could see it from here, even though I couldn't hear him. I went, okay, Ken's looking sideways.
Yeah.
And Rick's talking. Oh, brilliant.
Well, we got a whole bunch of messages here. I'm going to have to answer a lot of these after the show. I will start monitoring now on new stuff so that you can stay in touch. So this is a David Whiffen song that Rick Mercer asked us to play. And it's a song called Coast to Coast Fever. It goes just like this. 2, 3. 17, he started to try some things been on his mind. Living the life of a man on the go and having a real good time. She came along with not much to show, but he used to think she was fine. Before she left, the money was spent on a good times, whiskey and wine. Now it's a bar, stools and blinkers. Couldn't sleep yet anyway, but it's low inside. The taste of fame has turned the tide. He's got a coast-to-coast fever, and a highway on his mind. 7 years passed alone at last. He decided to hit the road. With his mind on fire and a heart full of ashes, he carried his heavy load. He played his tunes for empty rooms right on down the line. But before he went, the money got spent on a good time, whiskey and wine. Now it's a bar, stools and blinkers. Couldn't sleep yet anyway. It's low inside. The taste of fame has turned the tide. He's got a coast-to-coast fever, a highway on his mind. Ship came in, he was tired and thin, and he didn't know what lay in store. The people came around and the rooms were filled. They were busting through the door. He drew the crowds and they cheered so loud. Well, it made them feel so fine. Before they went, the money got spent on a good times, whiskey and wine. Now it's a bar, stool and blinkers. Couldn't sleep yet anyway. Now it's low inside. The taste of fame has turned the tide. He's got a coast-to-coast fever, a highway on his mind. Sits alone like there's no one home, just staring at the door. The bottle keeps him company and he wonders what he stays here for. It's when he drew the crowds and they cheered so loud, made him feel so fine. But before he went, the money got spent on a good times, whiskey and wine. Now it's a bar, stool and blinkers. Couldn't sleep yet anyway. It's low inside. The taste of fame has turned the tide. He's got a coast-to-coast fever, the highway on his mind. Lots of bar stools and blinkers. Couldn't sleep yet anyway, but it's low inside. The taste of pain has turned to tide. He's got a coast-to-coast fever. The highway on his mind. He's got a coast-to-coast fever. The highway on his mind. I'll admit it, all those mistakes were mine. Yeah, we're doing the weekly guest song, and next week we've got Joey Serling coming in, which is going to be great. And we're also going to do the contest giveaway next week for Rick's book, so tune in for that. But next week Joey's requested a Springsteen tune that I've got to learn. It's great, but it puts me to my task of getting lyrics and chords under my fingers there, which is a fun time. Okay, so Sarah, if you're still watching, we're going to play this next song for you, and if you're not watching, I will make sure that you see a copy of it. And I'll explain after we play the song why the dedication. Don't want to explain it first because I don't want to get too like I say, I'll explain this one after. So these picks that I use, for anybody who's wondering, I've been asked about them before. Thumb picks are hard to find. There's a company called ProPick, P-R-O-P-I-K. And for years, they made this little pick here that I loved. This is my favorite thumb pick, little tiny thing. They've stopped making it, and they've started making this one, which you can see is considerably different. And I'm still trying to get this one to feel as good as the small one. With the small ones, I can't get anymore. I still swear by this. These Pro Picks are fantastic. The good dog is lost. Hold on a second. I think that are we all in the right tuning there, Neil?
Yep, that's where I always am.
Oh, okay. Sorry. It's all good. I'm hearing things. Thinking about things is what's happening.
Yeah.
As I said, I'll explain later. Good dog is lost. It's a sign above the counter at the corner store with an address and a phone to call. Still in all it said, a little bit more it said, hey there stranger, I can hardly believe that someone that I love that much has run away from me. And if you find her, you can only return to me at any cost. For a good dog is lost somewhere out there tonight upon a darkened street, running breathless with a wild beating heart. In all directions on 4 tiny feet calling, hey there stranger, I can hardly believe someone that I love that much has forgotten about me. Look at all these people tucked away in their houses, watching reruns of Who's the Boss. For a good dog is lost, and a tired clerk behind the counter says, every day in tiny ways we disappear. On a night like this, it's better him than me out there. For a good dog is lost. Instead of fly beneath the windshield wiper of my car, so stashed it in my groceries. Caught this expression in my rearview mirror. It said, "Hey there, stranger, I can hardly believe that a picture of a puppy drawn with a crayon can get to a guy like me. Guess I'll just go out and drive around. You know I'll never sleep, I'll just turn and toss, for a good dog is lost." A good dog is lost. A good dog is lost. Arf, 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 arf. Arf, 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 arf. A good dog is lost. So I send that one out to Sarah Calhoun down in Montana, who lost her dog Millie recently. She told me that when she texted me after she'd heard about my dog Teddy, who passed away last week. Teddy is one of my longtime friends, travel partners, sleeping partners. He was too loud, and he had bad breath, and he wouldn't stop barking when I asked him to. And the house is much quieter this last week that he's gone, but I am nonetheless missing him. Teddy was a fantastic dog, and I came home from Winnipeg. He'd had a stroke on the Saturday night while I was in Winnipeg playing. Allison didn't tell me about it, and I flew home Sunday. And when I got to the airport, I was driving home, and I called Allison. She said, "You should probably go to the vet in Peterborough, the emergency clinic there." And we did. And Teddy was pretty sedated, and he'd gone downhill a lot. They thought at one point he might turn around, but he wasn't turning around. He'd lost his vision and some of his cognitive ability. And I kind of thought, well, it's best to put him out of his misery. And we did, and I held him, and I talked to him, and I cuddled him, and I kissed him, and I cried on him, and now he's not with us anymore. We all have these dog experiences. It's amazing how much they get into our lives. So sending that out to anybody who's ever lost a dog. That was, of course, a Ron Hines song called "A Good Dog Is Lost," which was on the album that I did, the Ron Hines record, too, a version very similar to that. I'm going to pour another one of these long tooth. You're drinking the German one tonight, right, Mr. Grant? The Oktoberfest. Yeah, I asked it already. And Barry's on the pale ale, as always. That beer is refreshing. Hey, Barry, we got a little video to throw there right now?
Sure do. Hang on.
Thanks, brother.
Hey folks, thanks for tuning in to the Whiskey Wednesday show. Every Wednesday we will be here, rain or shine, richer or poorer. Tip jar is in the link above. Never expected but always appreciated. Never confuse the size of your paycheck with the size of your talent. I've got all the money I'll ever need if I die by midnight. Always appreciated, never expected. Please feel free to drop us a line regarding anything, including a link to your money. Cheers.
Barry gives me the cue, I'm back, just like that. We're going to do a song now called St. John's Waltz. It's another one of those lovely St. John's songs written by the late, great Ronald Hines.
Capo 3.
Capo 3. Thank you, Neil.
No problem.
The harbor lights are gleaming and the evening's still and dark. There is a line, I meant to ask Rick about it. Rick, if you're still listening, maybe you can comment on this. In the portion of the book where you're talking about you and Gerald spending a New Year's at the base of Signal Hill, looking out over the harbor after you had a very successful, I can't remember what it was you were celebrating, but it was something. It wasn't just New Year's. And the sentence that you started the description with, starts with, and the harbor lights were gleaming, and then you didn't say the rest of the line, but it actually had the same cadence and flow as the first line of this song. And I was wondering if you're actually tucking a little Ron Hines into your memoir there. 2, 3. Oh, the harbor lights are gleaming, and the evening still and dark, and the seagulls all are dreaming, seagull dreams, on Amherst Rock, and the mist is slowly moving as the storefront lights go dim, and the moon is gently lifted as the last ship's coming in. All the sailors got a story, some are true and some are false, but they're always erect and they're up on the decks, and they're dancing the St. John's Waltz. We've had our share of history, we've seen nations come and go, we've seen battles rage over land and stage for 100 years or more, for beauty or for freedom, for country or for king, or for money or fame, but there are no names on the graves where men lie sleeping, and the 9 to 5s survive the day with a sigh and a dose of salts, and the parked in the cars, and the packing in the bars, and the dancing in the St. John's Waltz. On the highway, and I'm sold on going to see all the planes fill up the skyway, and the trains run swift and free, leave the wayward free to wander, leave the restless free to roam, whether it's rocks in the bay or an old cliche, you'll find your way back home. But don't question or inquire what's been gained or what's been lost. In a world of romance, don't miss out on the chance to be dancing the St. John's Waltz. That's fantastic. We got a couple more things to do here, folks, before we round off the night. This has been a great night. Thank you so much for everybody who's tuned in. I'm going to talk a little bit. As you know, the trainer and Yorkville have been working with us in partnership, doing some stuff. And all this month at Long McQuaid is Gibson month. So this month we're going to be playing a bunch of Epiphone stuff and Gibson-related products every show, just to highlight a bunch of stuff that they've sent to us for fun. We got some really cool. I got a new guitar I'm going to play. Mr. Grant does. Neil does. We got some pedals, some different amps. But tonight, just briefly, I want to show you these 3 pedals here. Barry, you can see these down here, right?
Let me get there.
Okay, Barry's on his way over. These are 3 of the 5 new Maestro pedals, and these are from the Gibson family actually. Maestro back in the 60s, they made like the Echoplex and the Fuzz Tone and a few of these really cool very first pedals. I'm going to get more into the history of that as I go through each one. They are super cool looking. Look at that trumpet, those 3 trumpets, the way they light up. Just amazing. These LEDs are really cool. They look fantastic. It's a nice solid steel chassis with a brushed chrome top. Like, it looks retro. They sound great. Tonight, just so you know, this is my regular tone here with sort of pretty much clean, a little tiny bit of slap and reverb on the back end. Tonight I've had this engaged all night. This is the Maestro Discovery Delay, and I've just got it sort of set to a moderate little delay, but what I've thrown on there, they've got this modulation switch there, and that's a really cool thing. When you do like that dripping effect, like when the chord kind of melts, you'll hear it here. You hear that sort of, that's all the modulation, and that's emulating the old tapes as they stretch and stuff. I'm going to get more into this pedal. I think this is going to become a really favorite pedal to me because it helps this guitar sing. The problem I have using effects with this guitar is you want to show this guitar for a sec, Barry? This is a custom Gretsch. It's a one of a kind, and it just speaks on its own. Like, it doesn't need anything. So I'm always wary of adding effects to it. But the difference, like with this pedal in just playing a C chord, it's beautiful and clean and tight. But you just add this, and it's just a little bit of a shimmer, so I think I'm going to really enjoy that. That is the Maestro Discovery Delay. Next week I'm going to talk about the overdrive and the distortion. They also have a chorus and the original fuzz tone, which I think I'm going to be getting next week, so I'll have all 5 of them to show you. And they're really cool. I think these are going to be a great addition for people to have with their stuff. But anyways, Maestro Discovery Delay, the Range Rover Drive, and the Invader Distortion. We'll get more into them next week. We got one more song for you tonight. It's another Ron Hines song for you. And I really want to thank you for coming out. Let me just take a little look here and see. Tim Graham says Long, McQuaid, and Peterborough has the most beautifully flamed Les Paul in the store right now. That's good. It's hard for them to get the Gibson stuff. It's a rare commodity these days. A lot of the equipment manufacturers are having a hard time producing stuff. That's a good thing to find. Well, folks, I'm going to go through the messages after the show and say hi to you all. And, please, next week we've got Joey Serlin coming in. Joey is the guitar player for the Watchmen, and he also belongs to Vapor Music. I'll talk about all that stuff. Most likely you're hearing Joey's music more than you realize. Outside of the Watchmen and Serlin Graves, he's on 1,000 things. I also got some Serling Graves footage and stuff, so next week will be about Joey and Serling Graves. Is there anything else I needed to say? How are you guys doing? We didn't have to do much chatting tonight, guys. I feel like I've ignored you. So tell me, how are you, Neil?
I'm fine.
You're fine? Oh, okay, that's excellent. Fine. I feel like we've caught up then.
Yeah. We're all good. C4, by the way.
Oh, C4. Okay, well, thank you again.
No problem.
And Mr. Grant, how are you?
I made a couple mistakes.
Did you? Whereabouts?
You showed up.
That I don't remember. I just remember they were there.
True mistakes are easily forgotten.
Yeah.
Well, all of you, thank you very much for coming in tonight and spending another night with us and allowing us to play some music and keep you guys company. And man, special thanks, big shout out. Just lost that pick.
About 4 inches further back.
Yeah, I see it now.
There we go.
Thanks so much to Rick Mercer for coming and hanging out. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Next week I've also got. I was going to run it this week, but we're running low on time here. Next week I went down to Dee's. Dee's had their big opening. Me and Neil went down last week. They had their grand opening, the Island Roti Shack, and I got a little interview with Dee. So I'm just going to show you guys all some of her food too, for all you wonderful guys and gals out there to get hungry during the show.
Which one are we doing?
1962.
I'm not sure you're on the right.
I thought that too, and then somebody just said, no, it's C4, and I moved it thinking that's not right. It is C3, right? Yes.
It must be. It's in. I
It's in
play
B
it
flat.
B flat.
They play it in B flat, yeah.
I mean,
It was the other one that was
That's the first
home.
mistake I've made in eons. So,
well, we've got Devil on the list, and it's in B.
I know.
So there you go.
oh, is that what it was?
Thanks everybody for tuning in. This song brings me back. Dedicated most of the music tonight to Rick Mercer. This one I put in for myself. This one brings me back to Beachy Cove. Beachy Cove on a Saturday night. Grade 11. Got broken out of hospital by a bunch of my friends, and we went down to Beachy Cove. I didn't make it back before the nurses noticed. I was in
Anything
trouble.
broken? Anything broken?
No, I was in for, I'd had a finger infection that almost killed me. Story for another time. I dreamed it was 1962. I dropped a quarter in the jukebox and I played a song for you. I kissed you by the Pinball King. We were listening to Del Shannon sing. I had all his records, he was my favorite then. And that's all gone, it won't come back again. That's all gone, it won't come back again. I woke and I put on my father's shoes. Well, I stood out on the front porch like he used to do. Stepped across the morning sands. The skylight only showed a sign of rain. Mine would be the only footprints that remain. That's all gone, it won't come back again. That's all gone, it won't come back again. There was something I meant to say. Too many words got in the way. And I dreamed that it was 1962. I lit a fire on a beach and I lay in the sand with you. We sang songs until the rains would come. Straight across the fields we would run. You wrapped your sweater around my first guitar. I walked you home. That's all gone, it won't come back again. That's all gone, it won't come back again. There was something I meant to say. Too many words got in the way. And I dreamed that it was 1962. I dropped a quarter in the jukebox and I played a song for you. I kissed you by the Pinball King. We were listening to Del Shannon sing. I had all his records, he was my favorite then. Well, him and Brian Wilson, that's all gone, it won't come back again. That's all gone, it won't come back again. Hey, 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 hey. Thank you, Mr. Ken Grant, for coming out and
My
playing bass
pleasure,
with us
Robert.
once again. That was a fun night. Thank you, Mr. Lucy.
It was a blast
Fantastic
as
as always. Thank you to Stanley and Charlie. Where's Charlie? Charlie's around
He just
there,
went
okay.
down there.
Barry, thank you again for all you do for the show, for everything. And thanks for Joyce for sending over some glasses wipes for Allison. I heard that she sent some over. That's really kind. Thanks to Allison for everything she does. If you don't have the newsletter, sign up for it. She's been working really hard at these newsletters, and they are cool as hell. I read one the other day, and it was just like, I don't know, it was like 15 pages or something. It was just great. Photos and
being
memories,
there.
and it was just like being there. I know, it reminded me of all the stuff I've forgotten.
Well,
That happens a lot.
Not all.
True enough. Next week's going to be a fun week with Joey. Again, thanks to Longtooth Lager for setting us up with beers, and for you guys watching at the Longtooth bar down there. I hope you're having fun. I know, Lucas, you're there, so cheers to you.
They have
Again.
a bar? They have a bar.
They have a little pub.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the Longtooth Pub. And they have food there too, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to start talking about it. I'm going to get some menus and sort of look at stuff and
Maybe
start
even
telling
make a
people
trip
about
to Sterling.
thinking we might make a trip to Sterling at some point before too long. I want to go down and do a factory tour with Lucas and do a little interview thing, but it'd be cool to go down and play one Wednesday. We'll talk more about that. I love you all. Thank you very much. I can't say enough. Goodwill, be nice, all that stuff. We will see you again next Wednesday. Take care, folks. Cheers.
Once again, thanks for spending another Wednesday with us here at Storyhouse Studios. Thanks to Trainer, Yorkville, and the Longtooth Beverage Company for being a part of the show. We love our time on the Whiskey Wednesday show and appreciate all of your support. Don't forget to hit up the tip jar if you feel so inclined. Never expected, but always appreciated. Tune in every week for more guests, songs, stories, drinks, and gear talk. And don't forget to visit the website, www.kentizzard.com, to sign up for the Whiskey Wednesday wrap-up. Compiled by Allison, this is a monthly overview with highlights, directories of songs, and so much more. Be kind, be helpful, be happy, be safe. See you next week.